Hello and welcome. I am the Scraptastic Crocheter and my name is Amanda. Today I want to show you a little bit of my recently started projects as well as some finished projects, and also talk a little bit about a new yarn, or at least to me a new yarn. But I'm gonna start here with this Little Prince Charming, and this is another hooked on sunshine pattern. And this is going to be a baby blanket, and I'm going to use 2 of the Sultan cakes from Hobby. I did receive them in my mystery bag, or my lucky cake bag, earlier, and I did get 6 of the cakes in the colorway Sweden. And the cakes itself, I don't have anyone available to me of how they look to begin with. But the cakes start with a blue center, and then it fades over to the yellow, and then it goes over to blue again. What I have done is I've cut the cake. I have. So what you see here is all the yellow that I separated out so I could color control it. So I took all the yellow and made 1 cake of the yellow, and then the first color changed, turned into this 3 strands of yellow and 1 strand of blue. And I do still have a little bit left of this homemade cake. I do have cake winder, but after that it will go over to 2 strands of blue and 2 strands of yellow. And this is about this cake size that all the cakes turned out. The yellow and all the fading ones. You can see this one is a little smaller, but I think I wound this a little tighter. But the interesting thing is I took 2 cakes. So I took the yellow from both 2 cakes and made 1 ball. So this is all the 3 strands blue, 1 strand yellow from both of these cakes. But all the blue together turned into this monstrosity. Do you see the difference in size? So there's a lot more blue, since it starts with blue and it ends in blue, which means that it's going to be a lot of blue on the outside. But I think that's going to be very, very nice, because the yellow looks like it's a lot of yellow since it's the center, but it isn't that much yellow. And then as the transitions, or these fading over, they're not that much. So I think it's going to be a nice transition, because yeah, this one was also about the same size. But then to have all of this blue on the outside, it's going to be very fun to see how much blue it actually is. I think it's going to be a nice chunk of blue on the outside. So cutting cakes is very fun, especially when you don't really know what to expect. I did not expect that much blue, I'll tell you that much. I'm also gonna say that much, that this pattern is really nice. It's really fun to work with, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I have done Phoenix and Doodad by Hooked on Sunshine, and I enjoyed those a little bit better, I think. This really looks nice, but I think if I'm gonna do another one, it's not gonna be this one again. The other ones are a little bit, you know, they're calling my name a bit louder, saying that do me again, or okay, maybe not like that, but that can sound a bit okay. Yeah, it's really nice, and it's really, really pretty. I just think that maybe it's the, you know, one color. I think this would look better if you do the color changes and not just solid, because it feels like it's not popping. You can't really see some of the details here. You can't really see these parts here where you have the stitches on top of each other in the same way as if you do in color changed versions. Like here, the pattern is kind of almost disappearing because of the blue and the yellow not being very blended, so the pattern kind of also almost disappears a bit. So I'm not disappointed in any way. It's going to be a really cool, pretty baby blanket. That's for sure. I'm just not sure I would do this in this way again. I think it would be a lot more interesting to look at with color changes. So that's that. I'm going to continue this in a bit. Just gonna put it there for now. So I did have some stuff that I wanted to show you that I totally finished off. My Kriya. I'm only gonna show you a little bit of it. Here you have the center. It's folded, so this is only half of it. It's double size. But I want to talk about the color changes or the effects that I did. So I did start this with one color that I had some leftover balls of white and the teal. And my plan was to get the 2 strands of white and then 2 strands of this teal. And I did the second strand of teal a little bit down here. And I lost the yarn chicken race, and not kidding, but probably by this far I was not happy, but I just frogged it, and then I decided that okay, 1 row is enough because I'm not gonna frog back enough so that I could redo the first line of the teal before I do a second line of teal. It's just gonna be like this, and I think it turned out really pretty, and I'm happy with it. Just not what my plan was, not what my intention was, but hey, you you just have to do the best of the situation. Other than that, here I lost yarn chicken. I kind of lost yarn chicken on this one too. You might have heard me talk about this virus in the Danish red and white color. And I was sitting, I had made, not this last row, I was sitting at this second row here and was debating on if it was done. Because I was not sure it would be enough to make this finished last repeat. But I figured, why not? Because this here has the red and white, and then I have a little bit of red. So I was like, maybe I have enough for one last row. And I didn't. But I did have red left over from the Secret Path shawl that I did in the same colorway I did that before I did this one. So I did have enough left over to finish this with this last repeat. And I think this looks a lot better since it is a solid color finishing row. I did not have I knew I wouldn't have enough to do like picot edge or anything like that. It's just a plain edge, same repeat as the other ones. So I lost yarn chicken again, but I did have leftovers to cover up my issues, so that's fine. Now I want to talk about yarn. I want to talk about Sylvia Pushka. Never heard of this yarn, and this is an alpaca yarn, but it's not fully alpaca. It's 85% acrylic, 15% alpaca. And this was gifted to me by my mother. She had a co-worker that went to Peru, and she asked her co-worker to buy her alpaca yarn, and this is what her co-worker came home with. So my mother was quite disappointed because she wanted 100% alpaca and she gets 15. So she doesn't know what to do with it, and figured I might be able to do something with it. It is 100 grams, 225 meters, 246 yards. And yeah, there's some washing instructions and whatnot. I think it does recommend crochet hook 7, what am I talking about, 3.75 millimeter, and that might work. I don't know what to do with it. I did get 5 skeins of this. It is made in Peru, and it is apparently distributed in Peru, United States, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, and Bolivia, or Republica Boliviana de Venezuela. Is that maybe in Venezuela? I don't know. But what I do know is that this is not something I would be able to buy in the stores here, which makes me happy. Because it's always fun to try something that I would not else be able to try. So I love having people going on vacations and bringing me yarn home, kind of. Doesn't happen a lot. My mom was in Turkey at one point and had some yarn that she bought there that she just didn't know what to do with, so she gifted me that. That's a long time ago. And I can tell you, if I had had that yarn today and not in the beginning of my crochet journey, I would have done a totally different thing with it, because I feel like I butchered that yarn. I might show you. I do have that item laying around, but I have to go dig for it if I'm gonna show you my messed up beginning of crochet journey items. Might get a good laugh out of that one. So all the 5 skeins I have is this gray color, and it is very soft, I'll tell you that. I'm not sure this is gonna make me itch or not, because I have noticed that wool yarn makes me itch, and I don't know if that also includes alpaca, but it is a not that much alpaca, so we'll see if I get some kind of reaction to it or not. I'm thinking poncho, maybe. I think gray is quite boring, but I also know that I might not do it for myself. So I know everyone doesn't love color like I do. It will be nice, especially now when the winter is coming. No, it's not coming yet, but I live in Sweden, and Sweden does get cold during winters, and it's very handy to have warm and fluffy and squeezable items to keep you warm when it is very cold. What would you do if you had this 5 skeins? That's 500 grams, a little bit over 1,000 meters, 1,000 yards plus of squishy. Is it? I don't know how I would classify it. I wouldn't say it's a light worsted, maybe. It looks like 2 strands and fluffy with alpaca in between. Yeah, is it a light 4, thick 3 weight? Doesn't have a lot of information, and I'm not very good at telling the thickness, but it does look like it's pretty consistent all the way through. Or maybe I'll just do 5 hats. Keep a lot of heads warm this winter. We'll see. Just looking around, and I have mentioned everything I wanted to talk about today. Yay! This was a short video. So I hope that you enjoyed a little bit about what I had to talk about today. That maybe I gave you some inspiration to try something out yourself. How about cutting cakes? You don't have to go about using these color changing cakes just from center and out or outside in. You can definitely cut them up. And as I said, these were 2 cakes that I cut up and then I joined them together. Here you can actually see I have done a little, well, kind of a very spidery knot here. But what I do is I do a chunky knot, and when I get to it, I unknot it, and then I just join these together like any type of color change. I do not like mini knots on all of them to hope that they're gonna fit together. I can actually show you what I've done so far, because I have not been a good girl and taking care of my edges or endings, or yeah. Here we have in the beginning, I have a long strand that I need to take care of. And here is where the first of the yellow meets the second part of the yellow. And I have them here ready to be sewn in and hidden. There is a little bit here. I have done a couple of stitches on top of it so that it is already somewhat tucked away, but not fully. And yeah, same here. When I have stitches that is able to hide, if I have a couple of, well, you know, there's one row of single crochets, it's easier to hide them than compared to here where I have these big holes. When I do have holes, I just leave them and then I sew them in, hiding them as best as I can without making them, you know, seeing it through the holes. But if I can hide it and it's a good hiding spot, like behind single crochets or, you know, denser type of stitches, single crochets, half double crochets, maybe double crochets, when they're all together, no spaces or anything like that, it's easier to hide them. So I do try to hide them when I can. I am such a master at rambling, or not rambling, but I I lose track and then I go back to something I already talked about. But I do love crocheting and I do love these small tips and tricks that I do have occasionally, and they come out of the blue, so I just share them whenever I think about them. I don't have any manuscripts or any, well, I do think before I make my videos what items I want to show off or what items I want to talk about, the yarns or anything like that. But other than that, most of my videos are one take, with whatever I slip up or make a mess or whatever. I'm just, you know, trying to be as real as I can. And if I talk about yarn, I do give my honest opinions. I know that I have recently or lately done very much with these cake yarns, and that's because I have a lot of them. I did buy the mystery bag. I was surprised and I got 24 cakes, and I need to do something about it. So of course I want to show you what I've done, and of course I have other yarns as well. So this is not the only yarn I work with. It's just been nice to work with cotton yarn in the Swedish summer heat. I do prefer cotton when it is warm because it doesn't get as, you know, I don't get the clammy hands in the same way as when I work with acrylic yarns or wool yarns. Well, wool makes me itch and acrylic does make me sweaty a bit. So I just prefer to use cotton, and this is the cotton I have. I wouldn't say the most of, because I do have other cottons too, but these are the cottons that makes me smile most at the moment, and I'm really loving to see the color changes, and I like the feel of it. It's lightweight, and I do have other cake yarns as well. I did talk about the Sheepy's Whirl in my last video, and that one's cotton acrylic. It does also work pretty okay in this heat. I just wasn't sure which one to start with, and I just started to cut the cake up for this one. So this one was prepared, and then I found a pattern for it. I could have just as well started with the other one. I am still debating on that one, or maybe not. I think, because I'm gonna use two of these, I am pretty sure I'm gonna do the same as I've done here, cutting the cake up. Not sure though, because this one had the yellow, you know, not in the center. The yellow was like a ring in the outside, and it was blue, yellow, blue. But my plan is to start with a pink, so I might just have one cake and the other cake next to it, start on the outside and work to the first color change, switch cake to the other cake, and then work the pink, so that I, you know, work from the outside and switch between the color changes. So I might not have to cut this cake up. I don't think I will actually, because it's pretty handy to just keep them whole when I can. I still haven't figured out what pattern to use for it though. So that's next step, but I want to do this first. Of course, I can have more, you know, whips at the same time. Not like I haven't had plenty before, but you know, maybe I should focus a little bit. I have this and the skulls that I'm working on, the Lost Souls shawl. That is my two main projects right now. The Lost Soul shawl is in my travel kit, and I'm working on it on the road. I figured this one is a little bit more difficult to, you know, take with me because I have so many of these small ones and I don't want to mess them up. But of course I could fit them in my travel bag. But I've been kind of busy on the bus and also during the days. I do have some time to work during the days. I'm just not that comfortable with this pattern. It's not like I know it by heart, and the Lost Souls pattern I do know by heart at this point, so it's just easier when I don't have to go back and forth to the pattern. That's probably one of the bigger things. I do have pattern in my phone, so it is pretty easy to get it in, like check it when I need to, but it's still easier to do stuff by heart. And I do notice that this is you know, curling a little bit on itself, and it looks like it's gonna be wider, but I think that's gonna be straightened out when I block it. I think it's gonna be fine. So yeah, thank you very, very much for sticking around this long. Did not expect this video to just become long again. My goal is not to make very long videos because I know that most of you just don't have the time of day, and I do appreciate the time that you do spend watching my videos. And I hope that you get some inspiration from them. Maybe not the patterns itself, but you know, seeing something different. Maybe you're just working with one type of yarn, and the types of yarn that I use might be something new and interesting. So maybe you want to give them a try, or maybe you want to try baby blankets, or anything else for that matter. I don't know. Why are you watching my videos? Please leave a comment and let me know. What do I do that sparks your interest? What do you want to see more of, and what do you want to see less of? You know, any critique is good critique, because I can only grow if I get any feedback, and I hope that I give you some entertainment. I know why I watch the YouTube videos I watch. It's for entertainment and relaxation, so maybe that's the same thing for you, but it would be nice to hear why you're actually here. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you back here soon. And thank you very, very much. Bye bye.